So 3 years ago, I did a restoration project on my now 15-ish-year-old Denon AH-D5000s. The headband had worn out, the earpads had flaked off, it was affecting the sound quality. I put the new band on here that's still on there to this day. It's squishier and more comfortable than the stock one ever was. But recently, I decided I wanted to try Dekoni's Elite Hybrid pads on these because I had done that a ways back on my Beyerdynamic DT 1990s, and they are extremely comfortable, but also in the 1990s case, changed the sound signature in a way that I found very pleasing, and so I was wondering if it would do something similar with these. I wanted to talk through that briefly. In a nutshell, if I had to summarize how this changed the sound, it's a subtle difference most of the time, but I would say refinement. It's a win overall. There's a little bit less overall bass volume if you think of it in just how big and boomy and powerful is the bass. There's a little bit less to my ear. But the bass is also more impactful. It has more energy to it. Songs like AC/DC's Back in Black with that really thumpy, pronounced kick drum, it really has a greater sense of energy that you want to tap your foot to. And songs with really good bass lines with the bass guitar, I think, are really helped by the slightly warmer presentation that these pads give these headphones. And these headphones were already fairly warm anyway. Some people even said that the bass bled into the mid-range a little bit, and I still think that it does. But especially with these pads on, I feel like the way that it does that has more control over to it, and it doesn't feel obtrusive in the way that it blends into it. It just feels nice and warm. And if you like a warm sound, the punchiness of the bass and the smoothness of like bass guitars and other sounds is just very pleasing to my ear. It took a lot of the character that these headphones already had, that if you like headphones like this, probably things you like about them, and brought them out a little further. The mids were a little recessed in these headphones before, and some frequencies of the mids are actually brought up slightly with these earpads if you look at the measurement charts that Dekoni shows on their website comparing against the stock pads. And that does create an appreciable little extra sparkle of detail. The minor sibilance that these headphones had that I always noticed, and it's not ideal, but I liked enough things about these headphones before that I would still listen to them a lot. That sibilance is tamed a little bit. It's smoothened out, and the vocals are smoothened out as well. And so the overall presentation of a tighter, snappier bass that's still nice and warm with slightly improved vocals that are both a little bit more present and a little smoother and a little bit less sibilance and the highs, to me, that's just... It wowed me again the way that these headphones first did 15 years ago when I got them. When I first tried them and put them on, compared to everything I had tried at that time, these just were a sheer pleasure to listen to, and I got excited. Had real new toy syndrome, the first couple of weeks I had these, just looking at them and thinking, yeah, I want to listen to those. And I felt that again. There's created this really cool sense of nostalgia with these Elite pads on, that it just gave a little bit more dynamicness to certain frequencies and took everything that was already fun about these headphones and just made that even better. Measurements or not, it's always a little bit of a gamble when you're changing the pads out on headphones because it's not always an upgrade. For instance, when I tried the Elite Hybrid pads that I got from my 1990s on the 1770s, I found that just sucked all the energy out of them, and everything that was great about the bass on those just felt mushy and like unimpactful. I suspect that has to do with how the Elite Hybrids have the fenestrated inside. They're not as sealed, and since the 1770s are very much relying on the seal for that bass, it just destroys their character. And I suspect the reason that doesn't seem to happen on the Denons is they were already some people call them a semi-closed back headphones because they're kind of leaky. They're not as like sealed as other sealed headphones, and I think that makes them work with the Elite Hybrids here a little bit better. These are early impressions, obviously, so I will definitely make some follow-up content about this when I've had a chance to A/B them and use them a bit more, but I did want to share that because that's very cool. Now, obviously, these are old headphones, but these pads are made to fit all of the major Fostex models that share very similar body design and cup size to these, and people still make those, the Emu-Teaks and a few other brands that are not carbon copies, but all share a lineage, you would say, with these headphones. Give them a shot if you have any of those. It might give some similar benefits to those. And then, In the big leather pads that I had put on the Denons prior to this restoration, I actually slid them onto my DT 1770s because I figured the leather would suit the sealed design well. Now the flap of the edge of this, obviously you can tell in my 1990s, on a pad that's meant to go with them, there's a little bit of a crease there that the pad goes down into. It doesn't fit, but you can just put the flap all the way over the lip on these, and then they still fit on fine, actually. And what I like about these pads is the more ovular inside than the ones that Beyerdynamic normally receive, and the fact that these pads, since they were meant for the Denon headphones, have that feature of they're thinner in the front and fatter in the back, which allows it to kind of adjust for the taper of your head. And I find the way that that positions the driver to your ear superior, and I wish more ear pads would be like that, honestly. I do notice that that opens up the soundstage a little bit on these DT 1770s, not dramatically, but anybody who's used the 1770s knows they could use it. They have a pretty narrow soundstage. So the pads being bigger and thicker widens that out a little bit. So far, I'm undecided on how these seem to affect the bass of the 1770s. Some songs it feels like the bass is about the same as it ever was, and occasionally it feels like maybe it dampens it a little bit or muddies it or takes away some of the impact and slam that these headphones had, which, if true, is a shame because these are some of the slammiest bass headphones I've ever heard. But I'll continue to do some A/B tests to find that out for sure, and I'll report back. That's sort of an honorable mention I wanted to throw into this video just because it was something while I was playing that I decided to slap on these for something different. These pads definitely make the headphones a little bit more comfortable than they were before just because of how much bigger and cushier they are. And when you wear glasses, cushy headphones kind of absorb around the side of your glasses, which is nice. Some of the smaller stock pads that they come with just aren't cushy enough always to do that. I never would have described the 1770s as uncomfortable, but the extra cushion is nice. So I'll continue experimenting with the sound of those ear pads themselves and let you know. If you guys are interested, I'll create some more follow-up content about pads, swapping, and stuff like that. And at this point in my experimentation, all three of my main driver headphones have custom pads now. None of them are running stock. I would be interested to hear what you guys make of it, especially if you're someone who also has experimented with different aftermarket pads on headphones. We all know that the pad shape and material can change the sound signature a little bit. If you have experience with any of these headphones or your own and recommendations, I would love to hear it. And if you have questions as somebody who's thought about changing pads on your headphones, I'll do my best to answer them if you put them below, and maybe somebody else in the community can answer as well. Otherwise, I thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.